feel, and now it's more real than it is for any other star. And that's enough to have you tearing up the Mickey ball. I should probably give the boys when the Emmys are, but I feel with the fat like every month. I get in the car like the snipers on the roof now. I'm no confused like you see me have to move now. I found balls like the snipers in the booth now. Food child, things are gonna get easier as long as they get my page right on Wikipedia. As long as they say my name right in the media. If you don't, that's a sin like Cincinnati. Cause ever since I had to follow suit at the Grammys, I was spitting at the camera like Trick Daddy. So swaggy could've broke up with IG. I ain't surprised that we broke up on IG. I got the game on IV. Might as well have a live feed. Keep a fresh cut from IV. Always got the picture in my ID. Cause I can up, see it when I'm back 10. I was still a baby, similar like then. And with the crack era, did the black man. It had to be an era, if you had a Cadillac then. I'm on rock mine, I'm going up, making sure that you niggas all on the same page. I'm a full force, you better look both ways. Fuck that, I'm shooking niggas, it's going down. I'm from a different country, I'm horrible, but it's time to get down. You know what the back over back, lost man. The way I feel it, niggas gon' drown. Whip shit, wait. You already know the script now, I'm scared. She looking at me like a little. I got a half moon clip that's bananas. Oh, yeah. Open your mouth. Nigga, you open your mouth. Room in a mess. Whole battle. Ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Artist of Truth. Welcome to another V-Blog entry. Yo, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I am still here, causing a little havoc, but not bad havoc, good havoc. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my podcast. So, obviously, you are probably watching this on YouTube, maybe even Facebook. Yeah. So where do I begin, ladies and gentlemen? Where do I begin? You know, it's a plethora of things that we're going to address today. Woo! Boy, I have some interesting topics to discuss on this podcast. So, you know, before I get into all of that, let me send a shout out to some of my brothers out there. Rap Analytic. This is one of my brother's podcasts, Rap Analytics. These four gentlemen are exceptional when it comes to music, interviews, speaking about rap battles, a lot of the things that are a part of the culture, sports, you name it, they're touching on it. So first and foremost, I would like to encourage you all to check out Rap Analytics. You can follow them on YouTube as well. YouTube, yeah, I believe it's YouTube, and most definitely Instagram as well. Instagram and TikTok. Yeah, Rap Analytics. Check them out. You know what I'm saying?
Shout out to my brother, John Craddock. I know he's probably like, Phil, why are you throwing out my whole government name? But we all know you and love you. You know what I'm saying? His podcast has the four-headed monster, and that's exactly who they are. They are true monsters to the topic, to the podcast. You know what I'm saying? Much love to them, and of course, it's me, Artist of Truth. So of course, you see it right down here in the corner, like, share, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate that. So I've wasted exactly 6 minutes of your time doing this quick, brief introduction. Hopefully, I haven't lost many of you all. So, man, where do I begin, ladies and gentlemen? Where do I begin? So many of you all have been watching the Super Bowl. Now, trust and believe, I didn't watch any of it. I just kind of like on and off again, kept tally of the scores. I think I checked on the scores probably a total of maybe 4 times. I did not watch the game. Shout out to Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles for that, for that game. I know those guys really played hard. They played their hearts out and everything. Both teams were, obviously, they kept the scores very, very close. It wasn't like a Georgia blowout game. I'm not even going to touch on that, but shout out to UGA for their impeccable players, and if it wasn't for the players, if it wasn't for the coach, I don't even have to say that. You already know the deal. Shout out to Georgia. That's my team. I love y'all forever, But we're talking about the Super Bowl and Riri. So obviously, there's a plethora of people who had different views about Riri's performance, and some of the comments were very, very harsh. Some people were not pleased with Riri's performance. They didn't see it as one of her typical spectacular shows. But I have to throw this in there. I didn't know that those people, celebrities, artists who perform at the Super Bowl, they're really not compensated. They're really not paid to actually perform. Allegedly, they get probably some bogus payment. They get like chump change or whatnot. But a lot of people were very, very disappointed in Riri's performance. And I have to personally remind people that, Riri, not only did she give birth to a beautiful offspring, but she's pregnant again. So I don't know too many women who are out here on stage just still jumping around, gyrating from one side of the stage to the other, running and doing all of that while they are pregnant. Okay. Janet Jackson didn't do all of that. When she got pregnant, she sat herself down. She wasn't putting on a Rhythm Nation performance. I'm just like, come on now. She's pregnant. Beyonce wasn't even out there. I don't believe she wasn't out there doing all that jumping around and gyrating when she was pregnant. So to those individuals that were disappointed in her performance, please sit down somewhere. Leave her alone. Please leave her alone. And then she was underpaid on that matter. She was paid chump change for that matter. So stop that, you know. And furthermore, if you're so disappointed in her performance, like, let me give you all some examples of of people's view of Rihanna's performance, right? So I read one comment from Valerie Regas. Yeah, Valerie Regas. She states that lip sync performers need to use it when they dance around. She barely moved at all, preening and arranging that ugly red wrap. Worst show ever. Next year, how about a group of real performers? Maybe some performers who aren't pregnant. You know what I'm saying? Maybe some performers that aren't pregnant. It's either here or there. Because I mean, if I'm coming to the Super Bowl to perform, and even if I'm not pregnant, if you're paying me nickels on a dollar, you get the bare minimum. Please believe. I don't know too many artists that are going to get out here and just throw on one hell of a performance like they're being compensated. See, this is the problem. Some of you all don't understand that. If you're underpaid, you're not going to go out there and give your top-notch performance if you're underpaid, are you? No. Okay. So, another person stated, Yolanda Roberts, this is her name. She stated, it definitely could have been better for a performer like her. It was disappointing, and all of that unnecessary grabbing of herself, and she's pregnant. Well, there goes the self-respect. Grabbing herself. I was like, oh, excuse me. Most of you all must have forgotten that we're not going to talk about disrespect. Like, y'all must have forgot about Megan Thee Stallion. I mean, she has done a plethora of good job of not respecting herself. But we're not going to get into that conversation. To make a long story short, because I'm not going to sit on this topic too much longer, is do not, if you're at home watching the Super Bowl and you're not happy with the performance, then I don't know what to tell you other than you need to go somewhere and sit down and shut the fuck up. Like, if you don't like it, switch the channel. Switch the channel. Like, go read a book until the halftime show is over. Why be such a butthole to a woman who is pregnant with her second child? See, a lot of people have these high expectations of performers, but even have lower expectations of themselves. Like, if you pregnant, are you going to be out there dancing around like Beyonce on stage and you're pregnant? No, 9 times out of 10, your ankles are swole as fuck and you're really not out there trying to be on your feet like that. Stop being belligerent. And moreover, mayonnaise people. Yeah, I have to say that. Mayonnaise people. Your dirty panties are showing. And furthermore, keep being honest and truthful about who in the hell you really are. Like, I can't stress it enough. Lately I've been noticing more and more bigotry, bigotry in this country, which of course I know many of you all are saying, well, damn, Phil, bigotry and racism has always been in this country. Yeah, you are absolutely right. So it's like, why suddenly am I already talking about it? Well, I wanted to bring something to the forefront. And I need black people all over this country and even abroad. I need you to understand something. When a person is showing you exactly who they are, believe them. Don't make any excuses for their actions, their behaviors, because they are showing you exactly who they are. And it's really your job to disassociate and disconnect yourself from individuals like that, because they're telling you exactly who they are and exactly how they feel about you. So my thing is, let them have their freedom of speech. No different than you. You see what I mean? No different than you. Let's not hinder the male people from speaking freely. I mean, hell, we should be able to speak, to speak freely. Don't you agree? Hmm. Yeah. Come to think about it, that's what I thought. But in other news, mm, here's a topic to get your feathers ruffled. Here's a prime example of what Uncle Phil is talking about, right? So, as you see right down here below, Black History in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So, obviously, a high school, Hillcrest High School in Tuscaloosa, um, an administrator that I'm still trying to acquire this individual's name. This administrator gave the green light for Black students at this high school in Tuscaloosa, Alabama, the green light to talk about, to have a Black History Month program, right? But this program came with limitations. One, the students could not talk about civil rights and they couldn't talk about slavery. Like, ain't that about a bitch? So not only is Black History Month the shortest month of the motherfucking year, but then this administrator thought it was feasible to say, hey, you can have your program, but don't talk about civil rights and don't talk about slavery. So what happens? All of the students at this Hillcrest High School walked out. Right. Ain't that about a bit? They actually walked out of the school, ladies and gentlemen. Proud of them. Proud of them. Now, many other people would probably look at it and just be like, "Oh, why would you encourage the students or support them from walking out?" No different than, why would this administrator invoke her feelings as if her personal feelings supersedes the education and the truth, the raw truth of civil rights and slavery? Like, why would you feel that you should limit that? Strange, is it? So this was the outcome, right? So the outcome was the students were allowed, after, public attention has been drawn to it, students were allowed to actually carry on with the program, but they were only allowed to talk about civil rights and slavery at the end of Black History Month. boy, I tell you, when I say mayo, when I say mayonnaise people are really and truly bothered by truth. You notice, and if you are a mayo whipped individual, look, don't get in your feelings. Check some of your kinfolks on that shit. Don't get mad at what Uncle Phil is saying. Don't get mad at what Artists of Truth is saying. Don't direct that energy towards me. Direct that energy towards them mayo whip kinfolks of yours, the mayonnaise folk. Because what I don't get is not only is American history full of lies and loopholes, because how is it that you're saying Christopher Columbus discovered America, which obviously we all know now is a blatant lie, but you continue to keep that in American studies and you continue to perpetuate this lie that we all know is a lie now. Christopher Columbus didn't discover shit. Why are we still recognizing this mayo dusty whip, this dirty mayo whip individual? Why are we still celebrating and showing honor to this individual for a fantastic fuckery story? He didn't discover it because the lands were already preoccupied with human beings. So you didn't discover shit. I mean, mayonnaise people understand this. That's like someone that is like someone coming into your backyard, picking up something off of your property, saying, "Oh, look what I found. This is mine. It's all mine. It's all mine." But then you come out and you're like, "The fuck? You didn't discover that. That's mine anyway, because it's on my property. That's mine." How can you discover something that already belongs to someone else and not you? Now, I'm not going to throw out the WP word, but I know you're thinking it. Uncle Phil doesn't have to say it, baby. You are already on that page. So, Tuscaloosa, you're on the spotlight, baby. You are on the spotlight. I'm still anyone in Tuscaloosa, Alabama that is attending Hillcrest High School and knows Miss Suttles. I believe Miss Suttles, I can't think of her first name offhand. I believe it starts with a T. But Miss Suttles, hopefully this message reaches you. Please contact me. Please reach out to me. Actually, you can reach out to me via email. Yeah, send. As a matter of fact, anyone that knows her, please comment below. I'll do you one better, because I know some people out there, they're just buttholes and they'll just send me any kind of nonsense. So, shout out to the students at Hillcrest High School in Tuscaloosa for taking the stand, but that isn't enough, because that administrator is in direct violation of all of the students' oath. Well, I wouldn't say oath, but their rights, their human rights, their rights as young adults. So this administrator needs to be held totally and completely accountable. She needs to be removed. And if there's anything that I can do to help speed up that process, by all means, please share with her, have her to reach out to me either on TikTok, Instagram, or she can even come here and leave the comments and we can move from there. Ladies and gentlemen, I tell you, it seems like when it comes to truth, that type of thing, it's like truth makes people feel how should I say it, vaguely uncomfortable. And my take on it is, if truth makes you feel uncomfortable, go back and hide under that rock that you were under. Please. Stay out of our way. You can't, if you are a bigot and you dislike Nubian people, black people, indigenous people, cool. Stay the fuck out of our way. Don't interfere with our progress, which of course Mayo whip people have always done this. Now, if it's not you per se, you don't have anything to worry about. But then on the flip side, if you as a mayonnaise individual are just sitting back and you're not doing anything, you're just sitting back being quiet, guess what? You are still guilty by association, because you're not doing anything to eliminate this division. You're not. Your silence is what's that? What's that term? I can't think of it right now. But you're guilty by association. Your silence, you not taking the stand, you not standing with us to push this narrative, to kill it, to say, you know what, if we're supposed to be, and for those of you, look, Uncle Phil gonna give you a quick history lesson, right? There's a thing called the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which of course you can always go to the UN's website and you can see it for yourself. It clearly states that the Declaration of Human Rights is even recognized by the United States and upheld by the United States. So if you have read and you have a clear understanding of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, then a lot of your representatives, your political figureheads, you should be crushing them right now. You should be crushing them. That's from everyone such as, from as low as teachers, your superintendents, your principals, members of the Board of Education, police officers, any public official that has an oath of office, I should say. A lot of these individuals are in direct violation of their oath of office, but the only difference is most of you all are not calling them out on their shit. You're not calling them out on their shit. You're not holding them solely accountable, because a lot of these public officials are in direct violation of their oath of office. If we as people were to hold them solely accountable, guess what would happen? Either they would straighten up their act or they'll be fined heavily for violation of oath. Y'all know what's up. Uncle Phil don't have to sit up here and lie about this. I'm true to this. I don't have to sit up here and fabricate no lie. And anyone that comes on and leaves a comment, I guarantee you can say whatever the heck you want to say, but I'm not lying. I'm not lying. Not at all, ladies and gentlemen. Not at all. Yep. So it's like, it's a plethora of nonsense. And, all of that plays into my next topic, right? And that topic touches on HR 1280, the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021, which has been introduced. The House passed it, but it's a few things here that typically raises some eyebrows. So I'm gonna play this real quick. Hopefully you have a chance.
There are two summaries for HR 1280. Bill summaries are authored by CRS. Shown here, passed House 030322021. George Floyd Justice and Policing Act of 2021. This bill addresses a wide range of policies and issues regarding policing practices and law enforcement accountability. It increases accountability for law enforcement misconduct, restricts the use of certain policing practices, enhances transparency and data collection, and establishes best practices and training requirements. The bill enhances existing enforcement mechanisms to remedy violations by law enforcement. Among other things, it does the following. Lowers the criminal intent standard from willful to knowing or reckless to convict a law enforcement officer for misconduct in a federal prosecution. Limits qualified immunity as a defense to liability in a private civil action against a law enforcement officer. And grants administrative subpoena power to the Department of Justice, DOJ, in pattern or practice investigations. It establishes a framework to prevent and remedy racial profiling by law enforcement at the federal, state, and local levels. It also limits the unnecessary use of force and restricts the use of no-knock warrants, chokeholds, and carotid holds. The bill creates a national registry, the National Police Misconduct Registry, to compile data on complaints and records of police misconduct. It also establishes new reporting requirements, including on the use of force, officer misconduct, and routine policing practices, for example, stops and searches. Finally, it directs DOJ to create uniform accreditation standards for law enforcement agencies and requires law enforcement officers to complete training on racial profiling, implicit bias, and the duty to intervene when another officer uses excessive force.
Now check this out, right? I want you to hear this.
PJ Green caught up with the congressman beforehand, and PJ.
So before I play this, let me just say this. You all see the names, right? Tyree Nichols, and I know you're probably thinking, who is Alonzo Bagley? So let me give you a brief rundown about the late Alonzo Bagley, if you haven't heard. So down in Shreveport, Louisiana, Alonzo Bagley was shot point blank in his chest and killed because he ran from police. So a call came in, a disturbance call about music being played too loud came in, and officers were dispatched out to this apartment complex. So mind you, when police arrived, Mr. Alonzo Bagley proceeded to jump off a balcony from what reports were stating, and he ran from police. When an officer spotted him coming around the corner, no weapons in sight, no weapons in his hand, no weapons on his person, this individual was shot by this officer. Shot and killed. He was rendered, he was rendered CPR, which I'm just like, you just shot this man in the chest, so you trying to give him compresses after you put a hole in his chest. It's just like totally, completely asinine. But they proceeded to render aid to a man that they basically had already killed. So that case is currently under investigation. Now, this case just happened not even a good 2 weeks ago. Which brings me to this Texas representative, right? So this so-called Texas representative, let me oh yeah, good old Ronnie Jackson. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen. So good old Ronnie Jackson. This individual right here Wow. He voted against House Joint Resolution 1280. So Republicans, individuals who voted Republicans and Democrats, I want you, you know what? Uncle Phil don't give a damn about whether you're a Republican or a Democrat right now. I just want you to focus on what I'm about to tell you. So Ronnie, good old boy Ronnie, decided he voted against this bill. Let me explain to you his reasoning for voting against the bill. He quotes, "I think a lot of police officers will not be able to do their jobs anymore. They want to do their jobs. They won't want to do their jobs." Now, this is how he's talking. They won't want to do their job anymore for fear of being sued, even if they are potentially following department procedures and whatnot. So I think we got to figure out how to find a balance here. Now, Texas. Shout out to the state of Texas and everyone in it. You know what I'm saying? Uncle Phil still loves you. I might not necessarily agree with the fuck shit, but Uncle Phil still loves you. Now, he votes against this idea, and he states that police officers will not be able to do their jobs anymore. Wow, really? You mean corrupted police will not be able to abuse their authority and inflict pain, suffering, and even possible death on innocent people? Now, let's backpedal for a minute, because I know many of you all are probably saying, well, why would Alonzo Bagley run? Why would Tyree Nichols, why would these men run? Let me explain something to you. And in the case of Tyree, we all know right now what that shit was about. That had nothing to do with a traffic infraction, because this young man had not really even committed a doggone crime. He was just targeted by 5 to 6 different officers. Now, they're only charging 5, which technically I think they should be charging 6, because there was another officer that was involved. You're not going to sit up here and try and charge 5 officers for doing the dirt, and then you exclude one because you already know the Mayo whip folks don't want their own or one of their own to be held accountable for playing a part in what we all know now is an actual murder. That's all it is. But, to say, why would these individuals run? First and foremost, if you have been targeted, and you feel your life is threatening, your life has been threatened, or you're just naturally you've gotten a level of fear from officers, it's like, even if you comply and you end up dead. Sandra Bland was a prime example, Texas. Sandra Bland has yet to get any justice for her death. Sandra Bland didn't even run. She eventually, after a while, she complied and ended up dead in police custody. They said she hung herself. We all know that was a bogus lie, and nobody was held accountable. Nobody was held accountable, Texas. How that look? And now it's like, what the hell? Now you all have a bogus representative who's actually saying, well, police don't want to do their jobs anymore. If you're doing your job, you don't have anything to worry about now, do you? If you're doing your job, if you are an officer and you know how to de-escalate situations, instead of escalating them, you're doing your job. You wouldn't have a reason to quit. But I say this, the reason why Jackson voted actually against it, because I believe all of the Democratic representatives on the floor actually voted yay for this bill to be passed, and only one Republican voted yay for this bill. Now, again, Democrats ain't no better, because Democrats surely hasn't been doing anything great for black folks, but that's another discussion for another day. You know it. But let me go ahead and wrap this up real quick. I just feel like where's the universal human rights in this discussion? To say that these men should not have ran, but they ended up dead anyway. One was beaten to death by a bunch of cowards, or should I say handkerchief head Negroes. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, that hey, look. I'm not even gonna front. I am not even gonna front, y'all. Handkerchief. Handkerchief head is a word that you all need to look up, because those five black officers that brutally beat, and including the mayo whip individual, we not gonna leave his ass out because he played a part too. You tased the motherfucker, you ain't too far out of the equation too, bitch. You need to get your ass burnt for that shit. But for for five so-called brothers, you are truly handkerchief head Negroes, because you fear the other man so doggone bad. You know what? I know many of you all are probably thinking, what do you mean, Uncle Phil, handkerchief head? So I'll give you the definition, right? An African American or a black person who does not identify with black people and identifies with white people for their own personal gain, or because they are afraid of them. Example, Clarence Thomas is a handkerchief head because he is a black person that does not identify with or help black people, and only identifies or acknowledges male whip people for their attributes. Ain't that about a bitch? Yeah. Whoo, boy. You know what? So we got a new name now. These names coming up out the woodworks. Handkerchief head. Godly handkerchief head in the Urban Dictionary. Some of the things you learn, ladies and gentlemen. Some of the things you learn. But as I stated before, you know, when people show you who they are, believe them, please. Do not make excuses for their actions and behaviors. No different than some of these entities, these clothing stores, right? You know, these clothing lines that would do blackface of people mocking black people. You know, companies, entities that mock black people and then backpedal later on and just ask that stupid question. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, we didn't know that was offensive. For you to not know that shit was offensive mean one or two things. Either there's not diversity within your corporation, or two, there is diversity. You just have some handkerchief head ass Negroes that are employed, that are afraid to say anything. And shout out to you handkerchief head Negroes, because after a while you'll end up getting cut off too. Because after a while, people will, you think it's cool on the other side of the fence, but eventually you'll end up learning quickly, very, very quickly, that they don't fuck with you neither. You are a pawn. And they decided to use you up until, okay. All right, we're done with them. We'll go ahead and get rid of them. Handkerchief head. Whew. That is one for that's one for the books. But getting back to this whole House Joint Resolution 1280. The only reason why they're being divided here, ladies and gentlemen, is because really deep down inside, they don't want to pass those bills. They do not want to pass that bill. Let me just go back over the main points of this again, just one more time for the slow folks, for the slow mayo whip folks out there, and the handkerchief head Negroes out there. Lowers the criminal intent standard from willful to knowing or reckless to convict a law enforcement officer for misconduct in a federal prosecution. It also limits qualified immunity, which a lot of these officers have been getting away with bloody murder, like that Mayo Whip officer that entered a black man's residence and shot him point blank and killed him. The man wasn't even armed, but you shot him and point blank killed him, and then they give her bullshit. They don't charge her with murder. But that's justice, though. Let that have been a black man killing a Mayo Whip woman. You know good and doggone well that man would have gotten more damn time. He would have gotten more than 10 years in prison. He would have gotten more than 15 in prison. No excuse. And then it's funny for the Mayo Whip folks. I got this to say too. Please don't ask the question, why does everything have to be about race? Well, because you made it that way. Maybe not you per se, but those before you that look exactly like you made that possible. So don't come back asking Nubian people, indigenous people, black people that stupid question that you already know the goddamn answer to. Fuck you mean? Fuck out of here. You play that stupid role with somebody else. Don't play that shit with us. Please don't play that bullshit with us. Limits qualified immunity as a defense to liability in a private civil action against a law enforcement officer. 3, grants administrative subpoenas power to the Department of DOJ in a pattern or practice investigation. So, those famous chokeholds, right? All those famous chokeholds will be out the window. You chokehold somebody, you getting banged over your head, player. Hope it's worth it. Hope it's worth it. But it's coming up to my time, ladies and gentlemen. I've held you up long enough. All I want to say to close this out, and these are my final thoughts. Get in the know. Read. Protect yourself. And if by some chance you're lost along the way, feel free to reach out to Uncle Phil. I'm one of those individuals. I believe in universal declaration rights of all human beings. No, I may not like some of you all, but it doesn't mean that Uncle Phil doesn't love you. I can't say it enough. Protect your peace, protect your energy. But moreover, I believe it's time for indigenous people, Nubian people, black people, stop turning your cheek. Stop turning your cheek. And the reason why I'm saying this is because we have been turning our cheek for far too long. But moreover, how many cheeks you got to turn? How many times do you have to be spit in? How many times do you have to be kicked, spit on, disrespected in order for you to realize that, look, these folks really they don't like you. They don't like you. But they'll mimic everything about you because they do not possess the creativity. They do not possess the power that you have. It's like, come on now. We need to stop fucking over each other. Black women, stop undermining and belittling black men. Moreover, stop insulting and belittling your own sisters. You look goofy doing that shit because you don't necessarily agree. I'm just like, okay, we can agree. We can just agree to disagree. But stop tearing one another down. Black men, same thing applies for you. I get it. I understand. We point out certain actions and behaviors that we don't like and we don't respect. But moreover, our younger generation, our young men are in trouble. And it's our job as men. It's not the job of the fucking state. It's not the job of the state. Because we already see exactly what the state is doing to young men. They don't have a problem emasculating men. They don't have a problem throwing men into these slave institutions. They don't even have a problem killing them right out in front of, in broad daylight, unarmed, complying in all. They don't even care if you are in uniform. They will whoop your ass. What does that tell you? That should tell you, goddamn, Uncle Phil, we really have a job to stand up not only for each other, but ourselves. They don't want you here. They want, if it was really up to them, if the male whip folks could really and truly have it their way, guess what? You'll be gone. You wouldn't even exist here. If they had the freedom to make that choice, you would not be here. In this day and age, you wouldn't even be here. And guess what? They continue to show you that shit over and over again. Black women, the same shit applies to you. They just hypersexualize you. And you allow that. You think it's cool. You want to call that, oh, that's art, that's music, that. No. They treat you just the same. They treat you like a sex object. The same thing that most black women despise being treated like. They treat you like a sex object. And some of you all will allow that just to acquire a bag. See, look, Uncle Phil loves you enough to tell you that's not the way. You think for 1 minute they just gonna respect you. No, they don't. If they don't respect black men, what in the hell makes you think they're gonna respect you? Oh, they'll be nice enough long enough to you to get what the fuck they want. But when the shit really hits the fan, you think they really gonna be up there like, yeah, I'm gonna protect this black woman. You're free to think what you want, but reality will always show you, and it always has been showing Nubian, indigenous, or black people. They've always been showing you exactly who you are. It's about to embark on 2023. Let me say that again. It's about to embark on 2023. When spring comes around, that's when 2023 is really going to show. Woo-hoo! Yeah, I hear that garage coming open. So, ladies and gentlemen, I am your host, Artist of Truth. And until next time, remember, Uncle Phil loves you, baby. Uncle Phil loves you, baby. Yeah.